Hello and welcome to Tim's BMW Repairs and Information. And today we're having a look at the interior controls, including things like the Steptronic Gearbox. I'll show you a few tricks on making driving a bit easier using a Steptronic box, avoiding the mystery gear selection, which can be a nuisance. We'll also have a look at the air conditioning system, heated seats, and the mid system, and I'll show you how to unlock it and to use the hidden features that it has. Right, let's start with the shifter, and as this is an 840 Ci with the M72 engine, we get the Steptronic Gearbox, and that is a fantastic system. I love it. I've used it for many years now. It's foolproof as well, so you can't select a gear that's going to explode the gearbox or engine or hurt you by spinning the car. And I do make mistakes sometimes because the gate is back to front in respect to modern BMWs such as my 6 Series. But as I say, the software won't allow you to kill yourself, so it's an excellent system. The M60 840 Ci got a 5-speed non-Steptronic, and the 850 Ci with the M70 engine got a 4-speed Steptronic. But you can use those a bit like a Steptronic with a combination of the Sport and Auto button and the shifter. And I did get used to doing that on my M60 engined 7 Series, although it was a bit awkward. But it really is an excellent gearbox in all the versions of the E31. Right, let's have a look at a couple of tricks that increases the drivability of the car using the Steptronic box. Here's the first one: into drive, into sport, into second when you first start the car in the morning. And this avoids the warm-up phase, which normally sees you trundling down the road in first gear with the viscous fan howling away. It's not a great look. So using that method, and that's the only one that works, sees you pull away in second gear and much more refined. Instead of making an awful racket, pull away nicely. Like normal driving, third and fourth on the Steptronic box, and we'll get onto a highway and knock it into drive. And this is a quick way to use engine braking when you're coming off of the highway or motorway, coming onto a slip road. And what you do is, say we're up at, like we are at the moment, about 70 miles an hour, and you want to pull off, and rather than putting your foot on the brake, stick it into sport and pull it straight back into third. Now you're using the capability of the gearbox to provide engine braking, and you've got much more control of the car. You don't have to have your foot hovering over the brake, and you've got full control using the throttle pedal. And if you need to slow down any further, you can knock it into second gear. But on this corner it wasn't needed. So here we go, into second gear for this sharp corner, and off we go again. Right, the third trick is to avoid the mystery gear selection. Now, if you put the gearbox into sport when you're going sort of 30 or 40, you're not quite sure what gear you're in. So, for instance, if you're in second gear, you really don't want to put it into first gear. So, here we go, I'm in sport. Right, I've no idea what gear I'm in. So, the best thing to do is push the gear stick forwards. That selects a safe gear. Can then have a quick check of the display. It was fourth, so I'm going to knock it down a couple of gears into second to get a bit more acceleration. Right, an option, certainly an option in the UK, was heated seats. And these are 2-level devices, either hot or medium. If you stick them on hot for too long, they'll switch themselves back down to medium again. But they are excellent heated seats. They heat the seat as well as the back. Don't heat up the bolster or the thigh support. But I really do like having heated seats, especially in the UK. You really need them. And they heat up reasonably quickly as well. And here's the ASC control. It switches off the automatic stability control, ASC plus T. But I'd advise against it because it is really an excellent stability control system. You don't really notice it's doing it. I mean, on sharp bends like this, all you may notice is that the orange ASC light is flashing like it is here. But it really is saving you. It's reduced the power slightly, maybe stuck a rear brake on, and it stopped the back end from flying out. It really is a brilliant system, much better than that on the later E38s. Progressive, fantastic system, works well in snow and all sorts, so leave it on. Right, above that is the climate control, and on the E31 it works really well. It's a fantastic system, very similar to the E32 apart from a couple of changes. For instance, if you switch the air conditioning off, it'll still run in certain circumstances if it feels that the front window is going to fog up. So that confuses a few people. So it's a dual climate control, one side, one control for the driver, one control for the passenger. And as I say, it is very effective. You can actually fry yourself in here or freeze yourself to death. It is very efficient. Has a couple of tricks. The main one is that it has an automatic control of the fan speed. If we set it to the first position here, then it will automatically control the fan speed. And another trick is that the driver's control, if you click it to 16 degrees, that disables the passenger control and you can freeze your passenger to death. And if you click past 28, then that disables the passenger controls and you can fry your passenger to death. So very useful. And freezing cold weather, put it to that temperature, you're hot as whatever, in a few minutes. It really is efficient. The fan is very good as well. It can move quite a lot of air, but it isn't that quiet really. It can be noisy at the high settings. The controls, we usually set these to auto and leave them there and have the AC on all the time. Good idea to have the AC on all the time in the UK because it's a damp country, and you come in with wet feet, wet soles, and you'll transfer that to the carpets. The air conditioning, if you leave it on all the time, will dry out the carpets again. It's very good at doing that because the other function of the air conditioning, of course, is to dry the air as it comes in the car rather than just cooling it down. And it drains the moisture which is taken out of the air down underneath the car, and that quite often people think the cars are leaking some fluid or other, but it's usually just water from the air conditioning system. So air conditioning works very well on this. Has a huge amount of gas in it. People are always surprised when I take the car to be regassed, and it works out to be 1.6 kilograms and they're not going to make any money on it. But that's rotten luck. And above it we have the mid. Check control checks if you've got any errors, but not with the engine. This is a simple error checking system which was first introduced on the E32, and it checks for things like whether the backrest of the seats is in the right position, and it checks each of the light bulbs to make sure that they're ready to be used even when they're not switched on. There's a number of bulbs which aren't checked, for instance the front main beams and the FTP main beams. But I guess the reason for that is that you actually notice when you haven't got your high beams active because you can't see where you're going. Speed gives you your average speed since you reset it. For temperature, obviously 16 degrees, not bad today. You have two consumption figures, consumption 1 and 2. You reset consumption 1 for seeing how much fuel you use on a journey, and you leave consumption 2 alone to see what you've got overall. Range is how long I've got before I need to refuel, which is 103 miles. You can put a code in and that will inhibit starting the engine. Limit, now you type in a speed that you want to be limited at, but it doesn't limit the engine at all. What it does is just beep at you. So you set it to 80. Once you go 81, it'll start beeping at you. Timer, that's the park ventilation, which means you can set a timer so that the blower fan will start up all on its own in the morning if you want to try and cool the car down. The mid also contains a number of locked features which you can unlock and have a look at some hidden information. Press the 1000 and the 10 key at the same time
and then use the one key to bung in the number. I'll bung in number 9 and set reset, and that tells me my battery voltage at terminal 15 is 11.75 volts. It's not that accurate. It's I know my batteries at the moment are about 12.4, so that's quite a way out, but it gives you a quick indication of whether the battery is completely depleted and so on.
Forgot to mention that test number 8 is very useful. It gives you the real speed of the car in kilometers per hour and not that of the speedo, which is +4 to +7%. Well, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.